Hi there, everyone. Jim here with Fantasy for the Ages, the father and son podcast, YouTube channel where we get together and just talk about fantasy, sci-fi, and whatever other nerdy stuff we feel like talking about. Today, I'm coming to you just myself, a solo Jim episode with something brand new. Another new format we're introducing exclusively on our YouTube channel, and that's a rapid review. In a rapid review, 10 minutes or less, I completely cover a book I've read. This is full spoilers, no holds barred. I get to talk about the plot. I get to show you everything I want to show you about a book. You should not watch a rapid review if you have not read this book yet. If you enjoy this, be sure to like the episode, look down in the show notes of the other ways you can get a hold of and interact with Zach and I, and check out all our other content here on YouTube. We hope you will subscribe. And if you fall in love with what you find us on Patreon and you can be one of our supporters and get some exclusive benefits. So let's talk about this rapid review. The first book I've chosen is one that's just become available to a lot of people today, Tress of the Emerald Sea, the first of Brandon Sanderson's secret novels. Here, 4 books being released in 2023, the year of Sanderson. If you were part of the Kickstarter campaign, you've had this as of January 1st. It's now available to everyone as an ebook. If you're waiting for that physical copy you want to read, you've got to wait until April for that one. Sanderson wrote 4 secret novels during the COVID pandemic, and now he's releasing them over the course of this year. Here's number 1. And I hit it right away January 1st. Enjoyed this book. Again, beware, full spoilers in this episode. Tress of the Emerald Sea impressed me by demonstrating once again what a creative genius this man we know as Brandon Sanderson is. He has created another new world of his Cosmere for this novel, and it is extremely imaginative. Honestly, I found myself wondering, how the heck does he think of these things? And I was tweeting it out there to the Twitterverse. The crux of the story is about a girl, a young lady named Tress. It's not a real name, but rather a nickname based on an extremely unruly head of hair, which is mentioned periodically throughout the story, but really has no significant bearing on the plot. I think Sanderson just wanted to call her Tress. She lives on a small island in the midst of a world of islands, basically, as far as I could tell. And all of these sit in the midst of a variety of different types of seas. And I do mean that types, because these are not your average seas. They're not made of water. Oh, they have water on this planet, but the seas are not water. Instead, they're made of spores. Yes, spores, like you find under a mushroom. But these spores are something different. The spores are all collected in big, vast areas that are like deep valleys, and they've filled up with these things, and you can sail ships on them. That's why they are seas, like the Emerald Sea or Verdant Sea, they call it in the book at times, verdant being a synonym for green. Sanderson describes these seas as these big collections of spores that act like sand. And when gas rises up from beneath sand, it becomes looser and you could kind of sail through it. That's a real scientific thing, apparently. And that's what happens on this planet. These spore seas, you can sail through them, except when periodically, whatever these gases are that rise up will pause. And then everything goes solid. Then you could walk on the water, the spores. Just don't get stuck on them when the gases rise again, or you will sink. And you don't swim through these spores. I'll get to why in a little bit. But I will note that this time where the gas will stop and things solidify, that's a plot device Sanderson uses many times to add tension and action to his story. Now, about these spores. Apparently, they fall to the planet from large moons that hover around the planet fairly close, always maintaining a geosynchronous orbit so that they're always over the same spot of the planet and therefore the appropriate sea. So there's a big old green moon hanging over the emerald or verdant sea that drops spores constantly onto the sea. There are other seas of different colors, so different types of spores with their own big old moon things hanging over them. It seems a little odd, but Sanderson creates whatever he wants to create. I'm sure there's more to these moons and these spores than I'm going into here. If you want to learn more about them, check out one of those deep dive Cosmere podcasts that are all over. They'll be finding all the stuff about these spores. I am going to tell a little bit more about them though, because there's something happens when they get wet. And that's the thing. We only actually get to experience 3 of these seas. Tress lived on an island in the Emerald Sea with verdant spores, so we experience a lot of them. They grow when they get wet. They grow as big vines. Think Jack and the Beanstalk shooting up. Now, this growth has led to a form of combat. You can shoot a cannonball at a ship on the verdant sea, but these cannonballs have water inside, so they burst open and it causes the spores to explode and often trapping the ships or even destroying the ships, which then will sink into the spores. That's kind of creative and nasty. We see this experience with battling on cannonballs on the verdant sea firsthand because Tress, early on in the story, has a boyfriend, the son of the Duke of her island, and he leaves for a reason and never comes back because he's captured by the mysterious and powerful sorceress. Tress, therefore, decides to leave on a quest to rescue her love. First, leaving the island posing as an inspector working for the king, she's traveling on a trading ship that turns out to be a smuggler's ship, and she is imprisoned in the hold because she works for the king, even though she doesn't really. Down in the hold, she makes a friend, a talking rat named Huck. Apparently, talking rats are a thing on this planet. Tress doesn't know. She's never left her little island before. But so she has a companion for the rest of the journey now, Huck. The smugglers are attacked by pirates, leading to Tress's daring escape from the smugglers to the pirates, with Huck coming along. She has numerous adventures on the pirate ship, slowly winning over the crew, outwitting the captain, and believe it or not, and actually it's sort of unbelievable, Tress becomes captain of the ship. Along the way, she keeps working towards achieving her goal of rescuing her love. Now, I said there were spoilers here, but full spoiler is always really hard for me, so I'm not going to reveal the rest of the nitty-gritty. Besides, I only have 10 minutes. But suffice it to say, Tress is eventually successful in her quest, but not in all the ways that she expected. There are some nice twists in this story, which you may or may not see coming. Foreshadowing is evident, so you might catch them. There are 2 main things I do still want to say about this story, though. 1, there's Cosmere references and impacts everywhere. We have multiple characters here who are world hoppers, and indeed, the story is told to us in a first-person narrative of a secondary character who happens to be Hoyd. Yes, Hoyd, he of Cosmere fame. His reason for being in this story is an integral part of it, and yet he isn't the main character. And I caught direct references also to the use of investiture and other tie-ins directly to Elantris, Warbreaker, Mistborn, the Stormlight Archive. It's all in here. Chances are White Sand is in here somewhere too. It's really a delight. It feels like Easter eggs everywhere. So there you go. The gist of Tress and the Emerald Sea. A fun read for any Cosmere fan. Not into the Cosmere, this book is not written for you. Now, remember, like this video, subscribe, join us on Discord, find us on social media, and we'd even love to see you with us supporting us on Patreon. That's it for our first rapid review. We'll talk to you next time.